Today, we're going to discuss 5 different pieces of scientific evidence of the origin of man. Please let us know in the comments which one stands out to you. Always study yourself.
See, they messed us up when they tried to put every black person in the same. But every white person ain't from the same place, but why every black person is from the same place? You got to understand that the way they mixed us up was because they made you think that the people in the Bible was white. You thought that Noah was white. But the Bible strictly says that Noah had a black son. Noah had a black son named Ham. Ham is where you get, of course, the Ethiopians, the Egyptians, which they call it's basically the Africans, right? Now, they said that Noah had 3 sons called Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They just said that Japheth was the white cats, right? Which their lineage was, the Japheth did have a white lineage, but not white in the term of the white people you see now. The problem with Japheth was they was more albino than they were white. Well, I ain't gonna get too deep into that. But Shem is who they arguing about because they know Shem is actually the Semitic people where the lineage of Christ comes through Shem, which is the Hebrew people, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those 12 tribes come through Shem. So they tried to make like we all, because we black, we are of Cush or Ham, which is where they say the African races. What they don't want you to know is that Noah was a black man, he had a black wife. Now, I can prove this now. I'm a black man, I have black children. What they want you to believe is Noah had 3 sons, 1 was black, 1 was Middle Eastern, and 1 was white. Now, we know Noah had to be black because he had a black son, and he had Africans. The darkest, look at a Sudanese person or Ethiopian, not the new ones. Those was ones that they whitened up. They whitened up them Egyptians so they can look more like them. Because the original Egyptians were dark, real dark. Now, now how can a white man have black children? When we know DNA is proven, you can't get anything out of white but white. White people will continue to have white, that's it. White is a lack of melanin. But we know that you can get all the spectrums of color out of black. So how can a white man get Africans? Did something happen? Did the human life change? No, we the same, doing the same thing we've been doing. Procreating after our own kind. Come on, y'all got what I'm saying. How do we let them get away with that?
I picture him very much alive and with a lot of the basic feelings that we have today. Confidence one point, insecurity at another.
Finally, Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for. A new portrait of the common ancestor of every man today. Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, Bender's forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggests he looked something like this. Thousands of years after the Bible, and hundreds of years after Michelangelo, we have a whole new face for Adam.
I like the expression. He's got a very forceful look.
He's intent on something, maybe taking over the world. You begin to get perhaps an insight into why these guys won out and why this guy's our ancestor.
But now, thousands of years after the Bible was written, science has confirmed the essence of its story. There was one man whose DNA survives in every man on Earth today. His Garden of Eden was likely East Africa. Scientific Adam unites all men today. From Bono to Nelson Mandela. From Tiger Woods to David Beckham. From Osama bin Laden to the Dalai Lama.
Effectively, we're all members of an extended family. We're all really cousins.
And some believe that's the message of Genesis, too.
Adam represents all of us, and that's what makes him important. Not Adam individually, but the fact that Adam is every individual. We are all Adam.
In finding scientific Adam, the Y chromosome has not just united all men. It has found common ground between the worlds of science and faith.
This is the construct. It's our loading program.
Remember the movie The Matrix? Morpheus had to show Neo everything he knew or thought he knew wasn't real. Napoleon said, history is written by the winners. History is a version of the past events that people have decided to agree upon. In the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, because they have rejected knowledge. Have we rejected knowledge, or is it just easier to accept what people tell us?
This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real?
Some scientists and some educators, some philosophers, some theologians have told us their versions of the truth. But you need to search for yourself.
This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Who had the genius to imagine railroads, Europeans, societies that everyone wants to come to be honest?
Okay,
where are the Syrian refugees?
Hold on, you said
when they're
built
invading, where are they going? They're going to Central Europe. They're going to Western Europe.
You said built.
Yes.
Who built the railroads in America and allowed for us to have expansion out west? Who built that?
Yes, a lot of Chinese people.
You said the operative word there was built. Built. Who built? Okay.
Who designed them? Who had the genius to imagine railroads? Europeans.
The genius to imagine railroads. Okay.
Yeah.
But you said
are
built.
there railroads in Africa?
You said yes. You said built.
Why?
You said
us.
hold on. You said okay. First of all,
that is absolutely true.
First of all, the greatest genius when it came to the building of the pyramids. Do you know what
those are? White people, by the way.
Who are white people?
The Egyptians are not African. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Egypt is?
Yes.
Where Egypt is?
Yes, it's in North Africa.
Okay, stop. You stop right there. You just said that you said the Egyptians are not African.
Are white South Africans African?
Wait. Yes, they are African. See, okay, to be African means you come from the continent of Africa. So if you come from the continent of Africa, that's who you are. So that means you're an African. So you do know. Do you also deny science that man originated from Africa, or do you say that's false science?
What are you talking about? I mean, what are you referring to?
I'm talking
science.
Archaeology. I'm talking biology. I'm talking science in terms of the where did man originate? Where scientists, white scientists.
Egypt was an amazing civilization.
No,
it was not created by black Africans. I'm sorry.
It wasn't. Who created it?
People who are white.
Okay. How are people?
You can look actually look at art, and they differentiate between races.
I got to ask you a question. How do you
from ancient Egyptian art?
You do know those were black people. You do know
they weren't.
You do know from science you can't get black from white you can get white from black. You do know when it comes to evolution,
what?
when it comes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Dude, you never studied science?
I see what you're. Yes, I have.
No, so but
I mean, I'm not a scientist. Are you?
But man originated in Africa. Yes or no?
That is a consensus. Yes.
Okay. So if man originated in Africa, which means that they were Africans, then all of a sudden, when you talk about the amazing works of the Egyptians, they were people of color. I know that's a little rough for you to handle, but I know you want to hold on to that, somehow thinking whites built the pyramids, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because first of all, they were building things in Egypt while white Europeans were still in caves. That's a fact.
That's
a fact. Okay,
sure.
But I'm still go.
Let me leave you with some thoughts here.
Okay, please do.
There's a section here on race and color, which is another thing with the variation of what we have in the world. Just a point I want to make. When European anthropologists started running through Africa and started describing what they saw, their urge was to say, everyone in Africa is this thing, and they have dark skin, woolly hair, and that is a thing. And they called it a race, and they called it the Negroes, okay? And this is our attempt to classify into few categories something that might actually, in real life, be on a spectrum. We know that the human species began in Africa. And everybody who populates everywhere else in the world came out of Africa to do that. What that tells you is that the genetic diversity within Africa as the origin of our species is greater than it is between any other two people anywhere else in the world. But because the anthropologists were not thinking genetic diversity, they're thinking skin color. They put them all in one bin. But if you have the most genetic diversity, then in practically every way humans vary, you would find the extreme of that in the African continent. Where would you find the tallest people in the world? Watusi tribe of Africa. How about the shortest people in the world?
Pygmies.
The Pygmies. Not even that far away.
Right.
Geographically. They have the same skin color, so the Europeans said these are one group of people, one race. Where might you find the slowest people in the world? Well, no one looks for them. Where would you find, there's no races to find the slowest people. How about the fastest people? Africa, okay? People of African descent have dominated the long distance as well as the sprint, two completely different physical abilities. Oh, but they're all dark-skinned people, they're all Negroes, okay? Where would you likely find the dumbest person in the world? Africa. How about the smartest person in the world? Africa.
How about the Egyptians?
The Europeans did not look for people smarter than they were, okay? And to this day, where they find evidence where that might have been the case, you have people saying aliens did it. Egypt is, of course, in Africa.
Yeah.
A brilliant civilization. Oh my gosh. While Europeans were still either disemboweling heretics or whatever the hell they were doing, I was even before that, thousands of years ago. So my point is, if you don't look for it and you don't find it and you're going to create a map of humans of the world, you're going to put yourself at the top. That's what you're going to do.
Let's start with Adam and Eve. According to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, Adam was formed from the dust of the ground. Let's examine this. The soil in most regions of the world is often rich, dark, and fertile. One type of soil common on Earth is clay soil, which has a rich, reddish-brown, ruddy tone. The word for dust here means dust, clay, earth, or mud. The Hebrew word being used for ground here is Adamah, meaning soil, ground, earth. The root of this word is Adam. Many Eurocentrists use this as an excuse to call Adam white, because only white people can have reddish skin due to blushing skin. But this argument is silly. The word ruddy, when used to refer to an animal or insect, always refers to a reddish-brown color. Every single animal that has been classified as ruddy is reddish-brown. Even in the 1537 Matthew Bible, the word ruddy is substituted with the word brown. Through the use of the Hebrew word Adama, we can infer that Adam was melanated of a healthy, reddish-brown skin tone. And this would be the same case for Eve, who was formed from the rib of Adam. Let's be logical. From a genetic standpoint, how would Adam and Eve being white work? White parents cannot produce a black child. So how did black people come to be? Genetic inheritance and variation explain that two black parents can produce offspring with varying skin tones, from fair skin to very dark, brown, or black. In contrast, two white parents cannot naturally produce a black child, as they lack the genetic information necessary for producing significant melanin, the pigment responsible for darker skin. The first humans had to be black. However, don't just take my word for it. Let's hear from a couple of scientists.
This is what people looked like in Western Europe and Britain 10,000 years ago, not what we would have expected.
1, 2, 3, come on!
In museums, reconstructions, they look a bit like this guy has a spark to him as well.
I'm Chris Stringer, I'm a research leader in human origins at the Natural History Museum in London, and I'm holding here this wonderful reconstructed head of Cheddar Man. And I've been studying the skeleton of Cheddar Man for some 40 years or so, and now with DNA technology we've got the whole genome of Cheddar Man. And here we've got a scientific reconstruction of what he looked like. We've got his hair form, his skin, his blue eyes, and that dark skin colour, that combination really striking. And getting out of here information about his biology, the fact that, for example, he couldn't digest milk because that came in with the advent of farming after the time of Cheddar Man. So we're getting his whole biology, how he relates to people in Europe at the time, and how he relates to people in Britain now.
Bright light environment, and then it's like stuffed animal, you know this? Yeah. Horrible. Sorry. You can go with the heat. Like Tom. Like Tom, this morning, yes. You know what?
However, there is something that could settle this debate of where the Chinese come from once and for all. I'm meeting Professor Jin Li, one of China's leading geneticists. Recently, he led a project that set out to prove that the Chinese evolved independently from everyone else, from Homo erectus, here in China.
Before the project started, I was hoping that I could identify or could be able to find evidence that support independent origin of Chinese in China, because I'm a Chinese and came from China, and through the education process, I always believed that there's something special about Chinese.
He singled out a male genetic marker which only appeared about 80,000 years ago in Africa. So any man who carries that marker must have recent African ancestors and can't be descended from the more ancient Asian Homo erectus. Jin took DNA from over 160 ethnic groups around East Asia. Over 12,000 samples. So, what did you find?
We did not see even one single individual that could be considered as the descendant of the Homo erectus in China. Rather, everybody was a descendant of our ancestors from Africa.
Oh!
From Africa.
The result couldn't have been any clearer. How did that make you feel as a Chinese person?
After I saw the evidences that we generate in my laboratory, I think we should all be happy with that, because after all, modern humans from different part of the world are not so different from each other, and we are very close relatives.
That's great, thank you.
might from India.
The original inhabitants or the original creators of the Indus Valley civilization, which is also called Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, or Harappan civilization, was created by the black man. People came from Africa. About 7,000 BC, which is 9,000 years back, maybe even earlier than that. They brought agriculture, they domesticated most of the animals, they were highly civilized, they had two-story buildings, sanitation systems, sewage system, they had a built-in screening system in the sewage so the solids would not block the liquid passage. They had chutes so they can drop the garbage from the upper level to lower level.
Do you realize that the most racist scientific community ever were 19th century anthropologists? They're the ones that set up the race and this, and white male humans were at the top of the evolutionary ladder, and blacks and everybody else were lower, still evolving, closer to the apes and all of this. This was going on for coming out of the 18th century into the 19th century. My point is, in the 1990s, now that we can do genetic tracking and things, now we do genetic tracking, the world found out that Europeans are between 1% and 3% Neanderthal genetically, and Africans are 0% Neanderthal. So in the 1990s, research papers started coming out talking about how creative and imaginative the Neanderthals must have been and how they used tools. A complete facelift of the Neanderthal that started at the time.
In other words, is definitely racism, but it sure ain't science.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Racism is definitely racism, but it sure ain't science. Number 2, it confuses science with pseudoscience. Scientific racism is a relatively modern term for a collection of theories and ideologies that began popping up in the 18th century. It was Carl Linnaeus, the great Swedish botanist and father of modern taxonomy, who laid the foundation for much of scientific racism by categorizing humanity into 4 distinct racial groups: American, meaning indigenous Americans; European, meaning white Europeans; African, meaning black people; and Asian, which he first described as brown and then later revised to yellow. Though the idea that there are significant biological differences between racial groups is no longer widely accepted in the scientific community, in scientific racist circles it remains a fundamental dogma. Other pseudoscientific concepts with close ties to scientific racism include phrenology, the idea that the size and shape of the cranium is an indicator of intelligence or moral character, and biological determinism, the notion that human behavior is entirely determined by genetic factors. Making racism sound superficially scientific undermines genuine science, but it does something even more harmful than that. Number 3, it justifies social inequality. To purveyors of scientific racism, it makes perfect sense that black folks and other people of color are underprivileged compared to white folks because people of color suffer from certain genetic disadvantages that make it virtually impossible for them to compete with white people, and in particular, white men. Under this view, programs such as public assistance for people with low incomes or affirmative action are futile efforts to alter the natural state of things. Racial inequalities and other perceived injustices in our society might feel unfair to the people experiencing them, but there's really nothing anyone can do about them. It's just the way things are. It's not racist. It just so happens that white people actually are superior.
Hold up, stop right now and watch this video. Did y'all know that black women are the only organisms on Earth that produces the mitochondrial DNA that has all of the variations possible for every single kind of different human being on this Earth? Such as the Africans, the albinos, the European, the Hispanics, the Asians, the Middle Easterns, all Latinos, you name it. When the DNA of a black woman mutates, all other kinds of different human beings come about. I would actually like for y'all to go research this for yourselves, because y'all can actually learn a lot. I'll be putting links down below, and this is called the Eve gene, just in case if y'all don't know, and it is only found in black women. So if any racists try to bring you down, including the black boys, because I see them being a lot of colorists, let them know they wouldn't be who they are today if it wasn't for you, because you are the manifestation of God. Praise y'all.
Great Scott!
Professor Rebecca Kahn was the pioneering scientist who uncovered the first all-important clue.
I started working on human mitochondrial DNA so that I would have some kind of view that was objective, that would help me understand and help other people understand how humans around the world were related. I was very excited when I first started to get evidence, and it was so counterintuitive. I'd put 20 Europeans and 20 African Americans on a sheet of X-ray film, and every African American showed differences, and all the Europeans looked the same. As we got more samples from different areas, I realized that it was a difference in the pattern, and that this whole new type of evidence based on mitochondria was going to change the way we thought about modern humans.
In 1987, Kahn and her colleagues published a paper showing for the first time that the markers stretched back to Africa, showing quite clearly that this was the birthplace of the human race. New Guinean tribesman, Parisian bartender, American teacher, Polynesian farmer, all were improbable relatives linked through one black woman 150,000 years ago. Their findings caused a sensation. And this is what she looked like. Using forensic reconstruction techniques, muscle and flesh have been added to the skull and provide us with the very first glimpse of how our genetic mother might have looked 150,000 years ago.
There you have it. Over 5 different pieces of scientific evidence of the black origin of man. Remember, you are created in the image of the Most High.
What do you think about this topic? Remember to be a Berean scholar, as it is written in the book of Acts 17 verses 11 to 12. Now the Bereans were more noble-minded than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if these teachings were true. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection in the sacred pages. Please click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with the Berean Scholar channel.